Welcome to Chronic Combat Conversations, a live look at our best bets, picks, and predictions for every UFC event. With your hosts, TB Scouting MMA and
The Guru back again for UFC 278. Kamaru Usman taking on and defending his belt against Leon Rocky Edwards, a rematch 7 years in the making. And we also have the people's main event, which is really the co-main event, Paulo Costa and Luke Rockhold, the return again for him. Very interesting stuff there. But before we can get into that, we've got big, bad, diehard MMA's own Clint in the building, our buddy, coming back after a week off. So he's hitting the ground running hard and blessing us with his presence today. So thanks so much for being here, bud.
What's up, guys? How's it going? Thank you very much for having me back. Hey, I know we talked about it off camera. It's not always kosher to say things behind the screen and then also say it live on stream, but you guys always know I've got time for you. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk some fights tonight.
It means a lot to when you carve out some time in your busy schedule for us, man. Listen, if you're not already following Die Hard, make sure you are. He's got a plethora of podcasts that he does. So he's got one with Lock of the Night. He's got a couple with Lock of the Night, actually. You got the Deadlock, and you're doing the strikes. You got the Stocks one coming out. When is that one?
Oh, baby.
We actually did the Fighter Stonk show yesterday.
Yesterday, it already came out.
Yes.
See, that's how shitty I am.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot to keep up with. But that one,
I'm going to go over and throw a like and make sure you guys are too.
Yeah.
Make sure you're doing that. Dude, thanks so much for being here. These fights, TB, what the fuck? What do we think, man? These are about to be some shit popping off over here.
Yeah, dude. I mean, rematches, they always got me kind of sketched out. Plus the advancements that Kamaru's made and the advancements that Leon's made since their first fight. I mean, man, we're in for a good one here. But I'm curious to see what type of game plan Kamaru comes out with. And then you talk about the co-main event at the presser. I mean, oh man, Luke was bringing the venom. And it was almost like, to me, like the reverse of like the Izzy and Paulo dynamic, where like, you know, last time Paulo was the one a little bit heated and Izzy's the cool guy. Now Luke Rockhold is the heated one, and Paulo's kind of like, bro, like what's going on over here? So I'm excited to see it all break down. But I mean, before I forget, let's get to one of the most important parts here. We got the stats.
Oh, and baby.
Yo, what's going on? I'm just Drew. Clint, I see you everywhere spreading that good energy, big homie. Yo, seriously, Clint is the GOAT. He's a man of the community, and we love Clint. So thank you, I'm just Drew, for dropping to him, man. We love you.
My guy in the house. I love it. Thank you.
Daz, as always, good luck on the bets. Hey, we always know that you're catching us one point or another, my friend. We appreciate you. But, I mean, without further ado, let's get down into it here, because we got Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards too. And man, I mean, you pull up the stats here, and we see a lot of green from the Nigerian nightmare, Kamaru Usman. There's the shirt I got on, so yeah, maybe there's a little bias here. The first ever, event that I ever went to, the boy Guru brought me out. What up, UFC Capper? What up, Papa Chuck?
Papa,
yeah, big night on the way, baby. Let's go. Yeah, so. First ever fights that I went to, Guru brought me out for my birthday, man. We went and we saw Kamaru Usman versus Colby Covington too. So like that set the bar high for all future UFC events that I go to, because man, we had a bunch of others, but like, dude, for this matchup here, I mean, seeing a rematch again for Kamaru Usman, oh man, it's minus 365 Usman, plus 300 Edwards. I mean, dude, what are you thinking here? Because I can't help but feel like Usman, it's not just going to be like controlling you on the ground if he gets you there this time. I think we're going to see a little bit more action and finishing potential. Guru, what are you thinking here, man? Because like I lean Usman, but like, is the line a little too wide, or am I going crazy here?
Man, this is a really, really tough fight. I think what a lot of people are watching, and it's why we all watch fights, right? You're waiting to see if the ball's gonna drop, right? We love an ascension just as much as we love dissension. We love chaos. So there are people nipping at the heels of Kamaru Usman, journalists, gamblers, Leon Edwards, Chimaev. There are people trying to, go after him and take everything that he's built and throw questions into that. What you're kind of seeing from the betting market right now, I've thought for a long time that Leon Edwards is like the guy that hasn't had the opportunities. I mean, he's had, what is it? He has had 2 fights in the last 4 years or something. Like, he hasn't been 3 years. Like, it hasn't been very good for him in terms of staying active. He's been fairly unlucky in that regard. He came out he was the second chunk in that snowball that caused the absolute stardom of Jorge Masvidal. Talk about a butterfly effect, right? You knock out Darren Till in the London main event, then you get into a scrap with this guy backstage, and you come out the winner. It just made it was like it didn't even matter who Leon was, and it's still like, again, people are asking the questions. Leon, does it bother you that you're not relevant? Like, this is really a tough spot. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's from like John Morgan asking you that. Like, that's a tough question to ask. The real fans, the true fans, know how fucking dangerous Leon is. How his like boringness, with my air quotes, is truly just soundness all around. And as somebody that went to, as I point to my UFC 263 poster, as somebody went to that fight and saw him get kind of staggered live, like, I mean, homie was just putting the work on Diaz. Like, okay, he landed a punch. He survived and, did fine for the rest of the round, which whatever it was, 30 seconds. I guess to the point it calls out is, can Kamaru clip him on the feet? Like, is he actually going to be able to hurt him? And then what Diaz does with the pointing and like, would you actually go in there and finish it? So I guess as somebody that does think that the fight is going to go the distance, I mean, I could never hate anybody trying to take a fade the narrative stab and say this fight doesn't go, because there's nothing but value on the fight maybe not going. Under 4.5 plus 125. Like, it's, me, I love my plus money. It's hard not to like it, but I like Usman by decision. That is the play I like. Although, and then I'm going to shut the fuck up and we're going to go to our guest. I like the play that I liked last week. Cheeto Vera, I played 4-5 decision. Why not play Usman 4-5 decision? You get that later finish. Because I think for sure we're getting a championship rounds. Like, it would really surprise me to see an early finish. So even fight to start round 4, I think at like minus 200 or something is I think the FanDuel has that prop. So I like that. All right, I'm done. Clint, let's go, buddy. What do you think?
Hey, you guys broke it down pretty freaking well on that one. I honestly would kind of be the guy hunting that value as usual. I'd be looking at the under. I kind of like violence here in this fight because I don't really see Leon Edwards winning over 25 minutes. Nate Diaz was essentially a punching bag. We all know the game has passed him by. We all love classic Nate. He's not that guy anymore. He's ready to go box Jake Paul. Like, he's not going to be the type of fighter that Kamaru Usman is. So Leon Edwards is going to have to push the pace. And people want to go back to the eye poke situation with Bilal, and they're like, oh, bro, he was dead. He ruined him. Guys, Bilal's a slow starter. He takes a little bit to work his way into the fight. And he took the best shot that Leon Edwards had in that first round and came back from it. And Leon was letting him work himself back into the fight until he, poked his eye out. Obviously unintentional, not something he did to like get out of the fight or anything like that. But there were questions to be answered there. Like, I'm not ready to pronounce Bilal dead on arrival in that fight just yet. So Usman is a tier above both of those guys, in my opinion. I kind of think Leon's going to have to kill him. You know what I mean? I don't think that Leon's going to be able to beat him over 25 minutes in order to get his hand raised at the end of this thing. So if it's going to go to decision, it's probably Kamaru doing it through the wrestling. But with everything we've seen from that guy, he's hunting for legacy right now. He's really sharpening all of his tools. He's putting his opponents away. Leon is a tough customer. But if Nate can rock you in round 5, pretty sure Usman is going to be able to do it as well. I would look more towards the under, just because, like I said, I think Leon probably needs to try to catch Usman and put him away, hurt him bad, put him down in this fight to get the win. Or Usman will likely do the same to Leon, maybe later in the fight. The first fight was 15 minutes, 3 rounds. He was able to drag him into that third round, no problem, using his grappling, but he mixed in the striking pretty well. Give me 10 more minutes of that, and I'll bet you Usman can find a finish. If I was going to play anything on this one, I would be looking at the under probably.
Yeah. That's so I felt like the things with Leon Edwards that he could bring here as finishing potential against Kamaru Usman, I mean, it comes in his athleticism and movement. So the whole thing is if he's able to kind of keep on his bike and use the leg kicks to first shut down kind of the threat of Usman's like explosion, because even though he's a little bit like slow and plodding at times, when he goes for his move, it's quick. You know, when he finally decides on what he's doing, but he's like a robot at sometimes with his footwork, but he can be explosive. Exactly. So if you can kind of cut that down, because with those knees, I mean, that's the other narrative, right? It's like Kamaru's knees. So if you can go with those leg kicks, because how many guys have actually gone with leg kicks against Kamaru recently? I feel like, not enough people. Right? Colby didn't use him enough. Gilbert Burns, I mean, he was swinging for the fences up top. So, yeah, I guess ultimately the other way that I could see it happen is Kamaru goes for an early takedown. He's not able to secure it, which could happen early. It could. Leon kind of got bullied in the clinch by bully Bilal Muhammad, which I definitely remembered. And it sticks out because I still think Usman is going to be the stronger guy when it gets to those situations. But if he's able to stuff an initial takedown, and the thing Leon loves doing is landing those elbows off the break. So if he's able to kind of catch Usman's chin like that, and that was kind of interesting UFC cap with the Leon sub prop because then Usman shoots whatever. But I don't think ultimately that. I think it's if Leon's going for anything, it's a knockout. But at the end of the day, I'm actually going to go ahead with Guru here, and I will say an Usman 4-5 decision. But ultimately, I think the first fight plays out differently than how this second fight is going to play out. So Usman by finish is good. What I'm going to take, I would say Usman by knockout. So yeah, overall, you can get that prop. I'm looking at plus 240. His decision is minus 120. So there you go. I'm fading the narrative myself because the narrative is Usman wins the decision here. I think he's going to do it inside the distance because if he can get off the threat of his wrestling and use his striking off of that, where he can get him kind of thinking, that's where he catches Masvidal. That's where he catches Colby, all these other guys. And he doesn't use his wrestling until he needs to. But I think in this fight, he needs to use it to get Leon's guard down because Leon's defense is elite. I mean, 60%. He only absorbs like less than 2 strikes per minute at distance. And he's just as good a striker as Kamaru, even though you see all that red. Like all the striking is the same. It's just Kamaru needs to use his wrestling this fight. He can't just dilly-dally from distance because Leon's not going to respect it till he sees it. So at least shoot in on him before you start playing. Like you don't have to actually go for the takedown, but yeah, I'll leave it off at that.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. And you see Leon Edwards' defensive numbers are very high, but I mean Kamaru still somehow has the edge on him.
Yep.
It's even in the defense, in the distance defensive striking too. Where it's 57%, it goes up when he's at distance. Total, it's 61%. It just shows how freaking dominant he is. It's really, baby. You really to beat Usman, you're gonna have to take a shotgun to his knee. Like you're gonna have to put him to sleep. You're really gonna have to beat this guy, and I don't think Leon can. I'd really love to see Leon Edwards fight Colby Covington or something like that. Even Jorge Masvidal, I guess, at this point too. But yeah, Usman, I think, gets another defense, and I guess the next fight will be him versus Chimaev at some point next year, maybe March would be my thought. Very interesting.
Damn time. Let's do it. Yeah. Give me Hamzat.
Yes, wow. Man, I want to see that one badly. I want to see
just
that
like that.
Wow. All right, yeah. So altitude will also play in here, Papa Chuck. That's a good point. Idaho, yeah. Elevation, yard work, yeah, for sure, man.
That's actually a really good point.
Something that Luke Rockwell was talking about too.
And that's something that's a really good point, Papa Chuck. Thank you for bringing that up because who do we know that trains at altitude and lives at altitude?
Kamaru Usman. The guy with the abs.
Yeah. Hey, he's showing them. I know they're hating on him, but he said, "Let me live, man." So. Yeah, we'll let him live. I wish I had.
That not just like the most awkward exchange. Like they were kind of trying to talk trash, and then they were both trying to like respect. Right? It was like, what are you guys doing?
So like, come on,
pick a lane, man. Yeah. Like, are you gonna fight or are you gonna like buddy each other? Yeah. Like, do one or the other. Don't do this weird in the middle thing. I felt uncomfortable from my couch.
I actually I actually like Leon, like even as a person, like personality was, but his personality is about as much fun as like a wet blanket. Like he's just like your very reserved British gent. Like he's just a nice chap. Like he just doesn't engage in any of that nonsense, that jibber jabber. So he's just kind of
Jibber
like
jabber.
socially awkward. He's just out there chilling. So definitely a weird conference. It was funny though. What I was more impressed with in the conference, if we're just going to be honest, it's because it's a perfect segue. I was very impressed with Paulo Costa's like just whole demeanor in general. He just seemed super confident, ready, focused, very like he was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like obviously just kind of very
composed.
Yeah, very composed, but like also just kind of like fucking with Rockhold. Like he was sunning Rockhold, and it just kind of showed because Rockhold was clearly so frustrated, and it was just funny. Like he called him like, dude, you're trying to be young. Like look at how you're dressed, and it's kind of true. Like why does he have to look like a Britney Spears backup dancer with his hat and like his shirt open? He looked crazy. Like he's just be yourself a little bit more. I don't know. I guess that is Luke at the end of the day.
I mean, come on.
He's a fashionable guy. He's a model guy. He's, All
right. So now that we got into the fashion breakdown before the fight breakdown, thank you, Guru. We always appreciate that. But we got Paulo Costa at -360 and Luke Rockhold at +295. And let's actually break down this fight. But as like you said, cool as a cucumber, Paulo Costa. I mean, damn, man, why doesn't he just take this here? I mean, it should be a walk in the park from the perspective that Luke just seems a bit too high strung at the moment. He seems to be coming back. Narrative perspective here. We're going full narrative here. He seems to be coming back as like coming off of one of those like depression stints and like wanted to prove something to himself. New relationship, new man, 38. I got knocked out a bunch. I want to get back in there, have this fight. But it's like, at the end of the day, I'm happy to see him go back down to 185. That's for sure. And I'm not so sure, like, Yoel Romero absolutely obliterated him for sure. Michael Bisping, of course. Fedor Belfort, of course. Jan Blachowicz up at 205. Of course. Paulo Costa never really been the one-punch KO type of guy at the UFC level. I mean, the only round one knockout is Gareth McClellan. So are we really is this the spot? So is the narrative like, Paulo Costa is going to get this early knockout. Luke Rockhold's got no chin, whatever. Rockhold comes out and shoots a takedown within 20 seconds on Jan Blachowicz. So Luke Rockhold's going to come out and shoot a takedown within 20 seconds on Paulo Costa. My question to you is what happens when he does that? Is he successful with the takedown back down at 185? Actually has some size again. I want to see the face-off, but realistically, Paulo Costa should roll here. We saw he does have solid cardio. He looks like he gets exhausted, but the dude, even the Romero fight, the Vettori fight, like the dude goes rounds and he looks like, oh my God, he's sweating like crazy. He's breathing out his mouth, but the dude's throwing in combos going crazy. And I mean, he's action man, I mean, he's much leading the pace at distance here. When you look at the numbers with Rockhold, his defense isn't great, but he's got the chin. I mean, I haven't seen, Paulo Costa get knocked out besides when he drank a little wine before his fight. You know what I mean? Like, ultimately, I think Paulo Costa rolls here, but I'm going to end up saying, and, I don't know if Guru's going to join me on this, but Paulo Costa and over 1.5 is +130. It could just be crazy enough to work. I would rather Paulo Costa and the fight to start round 2. That's what I'm looking for. But I can't find it.
Yeah, that problem fortunately doesn't exist. They give you that half round bullshit. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I've never been a fan of Luke Rockhold, personally or professionally. One of my first introductions to the UFC in general was watching what I consider to be probably the best pay-per-view of all time, which is UFC 199. Incredible fucking card. Watching.
What up, Jew?
What up, Jew? Yeah, Rockhold by sub is a crazy thought. I don't even know how many subs he has on his record. He subbed Bisping and he subbed Lyoto Machida. So I believe the Machida one would be his last one. Yeah. So he subbed the Ghost of Machida. And the one over Bisping was impressive, right? That's why he was like a -400 going into that title fight with Bisping. Yeah, man. I just the chin is an issue. Where his mind at to me is an issue. Again, he just doesn't. He's like saying all the right things, and to me that like is all I need to hear to know that he's gonna get knocked out because it doesn't matter. Like it's all about his brain turns off. It's his body. Like it's not him. And like I forgot who he was talking with, but I was watching his interview. He's like, I don't quit. I've never quit. Yeah, I've been knocked down. Yeah, I've been knocked out, but I'm a man. I don't quit. You know, Paulo Costa's not gonna be better than me. He's not gonna beat me. Like you even might be right, Luke. Like it doesn't, but that stubbornness, like it doesn't matter. Your brain turns off on impact. It's just, it's a safety mechanism. Your brain, like it's not a doctor. It's just, we've seen it time and time again that fuse gets shorter. So I feel like eventually Costa hits that button. I think, like TV said, I don't think it happens in round 1, probably 2 or 3. Would be very interesting to see this fight go the distance, right? Luke, last time a Luke Rockhold fight went the distance was Tim Kennedy in 2012. So I don't think it's going the distance. It'd be a cool way to fade the narrative. Listen, as much as of course I want to see violence, it would be, I guess, nice not to see Luke like lose his brain cells and have to retire.
Is this your narrative play of the week? Is it Costa by knockout?
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be.
Because I'm going I'm trying to get cute to find the plus money, but it could just be like, if you actually want to like cash your bet, you just play Paulo Costa by -150. Is that basically what you're getting at?
Yeah, basically. I think so. We gotta get to Clint.
Yeah, I mean, Drew Allen basically kind of took the words right out of my mouth that if you are going to make a case for the dog here, it's Luke by sub. 10-1, getting this guy by sub versus Paulo Costa, a guy who we have no evidence has much of a ground game off of his back. That's the way to go. That's the way to go. And I think that's the way that Luke has to go. You got to protect that chin at this age. I don't like the fact that this guy is now 38 years old, coming off of a 3-year layoff after getting knocked out and dropping back down to 185, which, yes, like that size, that power advantage at 185, that's really a piece of his game. That's what, it's something that he needed. But at this age, like, is that weight cut gonna help you? And he was awfully cranky at the press conference, guys. I think that weight cut is going bad for him. Paulo Costa really looks like he, without even trying, is in the head of Rockhold. Rockhold was like climbing over the schmo to ask Paulo Costa what his weight is, and he's got all these like pre-planned Conor McGregor-esque lines to throw at this press conference, like. Luke's off the deep end, boys. Like that was borderline embarrassing for the guy. And Paulo, honestly, I felt like couldn't have handled it even better, because the fact that he just kept kind of brushing him off, like, what are you saying? Like that made it look even worse for Luke trying to force it the way that he was. So yeah, I think that it's Paulo Costa in this spot. And honestly, I got stuck with my hand in the cookie jar a couple weeks back. You guys remember I tried to bet on an aging veteran returning to the sport after years of a layoff because they looked fantastic. And Gus died in that first round. I think Paulo Costa should take some notes from that fight. If he shows Luke Rockhold zero respect, comes out the way that he did against Yoel Romero. If you guys remember that fight with Yoel, or if you've gone back and watched it recently, Luke's not taking those shots. Like I know Paulo Costa may not be the most murderous power puncher that he's built up to be, but Yoel also is an absolute tank of a human being, and nobody knocks that man out. I really don't see how Luke Rockhold survives a round 1 if that's how Paulo Costa treats it. So I do lean with the under. I do lean with the knockout, but I don't hate anybody trying to sprinkle something on the underdog and his best path to victory here being submission at 10-1. I can't talk anybody off of that for some fun, but I think it's Paulo.
I almost think another fun way to play it is, and I never do this, I think you try to play fortune teller. I think you bet separately, even if you want, Costa round 2 knockout and round 3 knockout. Because I don't think it happens in round 1.
Okay.
Seeing, I guess I'm the opposite, man. Like both these guys having tough weight cuts, both these guys being so big for the division. Luke, I don't know how many engagements he can actually handle. The only way I see this fight playing out differently, guys, is if Luke comes out with a whole new game plan. Now, he's been off for 3 years retooling his MMA game with a new coach. He might have an entirely new game plan. And if he decides to use his movement and his speed and his footwork and kind of use that teep kick as a jab and kind of pick and poke and run from Costa, I could see that happening. I could see him doing that and then forcing this fight to go later. But if he does anything like he usually does, where he engages with his opponent, this thing's going to be a car crash. Like, I don't know how it happens any other way. That's the only way Paulo Costa fights. And historically, that's kind of the way Luke Rockhold fights too.
Teep kicks, training partner Cheeto Vera, new coach Jason Perillo. Does he actually tuck his chin now when he fights? That's a great question. Yep. I don't know. We got some questions.
That left hand.
All I know for sure is I got Zhu riding with me, so that's all I need.
Oh yeah, baby. I think birthday weekend coming up, Jew. Is that correct?
Oh,
damn, son. All right, let's see. So we got next fight.
Oh, they said in the chat that he should have some. He should have some JMO. He missed the chance to say he should. He missed the chance to say he should have some of the secret juice. Paulo's secret juice makes you strong.
They asked him what was in it at the press conference.
Yeah, they did. He didn't answer.
Nah, of course not. Come on. The Fed's watching. So yeah, we got Jose Aldo versus the Machine, Merab Dvalishvili.
Best dressed at the presser. I don't even want to hear about it.
Yes. It was like his hat was like extra tall. He was going for it. I loved it. Beautiful stuff. Jose Aldo plus 115. Merab coming back minus 135 is the B-side favorite. Ooh, man, this one is going to be high pace. This one is going to be balls to the wall because Merab's fighting. It's just what it is. Even John Dodson was forced to like do something when they fought. John Dodson doesn't generally do stuff. So if that tells you anything, like he actually had to like stuff takedowns and like fight in the clinch. Like he generally is just running away and looking to counter and throws like 20 strikes in a fight. So the fact that Merab even got him to engage in anything was incredible. So yeah, Jose Aldo though, I mean, he's got the counters, he's got the takedown defense, he's got, he's faced everybody. But when you come out and you're throwing 16 takedowns per 15 minutes, even if your control per takedown is only 9/10 of a minute, so like 50 something seconds of control per takedown, I mean, it seems like he should be shooting enough takedowns for it not to matter. Because 16 takedowns per 15 minutes at 0.9. Basically he's shooting a takedown every minute and in control for every second of the fight. That's Merab. So can Jose Aldo, right? Like, can he just keep him off him? That's the question. Because minus 135, that's a bargain if you could just get the blanket. So, Guru, I mean, what do you think?
No, 100%. And you just wonder if at this age, sure, he's got a stellar throughout his career, 88% takedown defense. But even by number, 88% is not perfect. That means you do get taken down. And Merab, he was going to test it, like you said, at takedowns attempted per 15. He averages 16. He's shooting more takedowns than there are minutes in the fight. What? Nobody does that. So I just think eventually, even if he doesn't get him to the cage, to the ground, which I think he will, he's going to push him against the cage. And I'm just not sure if at this stage Aldo is just going to be able to dance around, leg kicks, and do his boxing. I just don't know that it's enough. I think Merab is just a different beast, a different animal, and you can kind of almost see that now with the strikes landed per minute and strikes absorbed per minute. You look at somebody like Aldo, who's a prolific striker, and he's absorbing more than he's landing. At distance as well. That's not a stat you like to see. And you see Merab, who you're like, oh, well, if it's on the feet, Jose's got a chance. Yeah, he does. But at the same time, look at the pace at distance, right? Like even at distance, that's just at distance. And we're not even talking about with the grappling now. He's outlanding his opponents by 6 strikes.
Yeah.
5.5 strikes. Like he's very impressive in all places. So I just think that Merab's a different animal. And I'll say one more thing before we hand it off to Clint. The line, look at the line. The line has been chilling. Merab kind of creep minus 130-ish. Aldo plus 110, 105. Everybody and their grandma's on Jose Aldo. Everybody. Look at Verdict. It's flipped the other way.
Flippity flip.
Look at Tapology. It's flipped the other way. The public likes Aldo. Same thing with Dom Cruz. Dom Cruz getting a ton of love last week. People love Dom. What's up, Justin? Thanks for pulling up.
What's up, Justin?
Country concert. At least it wasn't Wiz is a better choice, man. You should have been a Wiz. No, country. Yeah, man. I just think Merab is gonna get it done, and with the public loving their being able to put their unable to put their old vets to rest. It's very possible Jose Aldo may hang it up. I like it's very possible. If he, especially if he gets mauled.
Very possible because he's been talking all week about he's going to win this fight, get a title shot, win the title in Rio, and then retire. You guys know what I say about retiring fighters. Like if they're using the R word before the fight, that's one foot in the grave. Don't get me wrong. Aldo is a champion's champion, a legitimate legend. But if his plan is just one more fight, just get by this guy, one more fight. Like, if he gets the belt, I'm going out on top. That's it. That's the end of it. I'm retiring with the belt. I'm not losing it again. That's already in his head. He's done. So I'm with you guys. I've been kind of leaning towards Aldo like everybody else is this week. But I think part of that is my own personal recency bias. The fact that Aldo has robbed me of so much money the last couple of years. Because after I cashed in big and beautifully on our Lord and Savior Max Holloway, I thought Aldo was done. I thought we were at the end of the road. So I continued trying to fade Aldo, and he had this career resurgence, came back and kept beating me every time I tried to fade him. Thank God for Jan getting me back in the black with that round 5 TKO prop, but it's been tough sledding for me. So I'm kind of scared to go against Aldo. He's the bigger guy. I've seen the body shops. Merab got rocked in his last fight. The takedown defense, like all of it lines up there for Aldo to be extremely live in this spot here. And everybody's betting Aldo. And the line is moving the other way. This is a reverse line movement spot, folks. Like if all of the community, all the bettors, all the gamblers on Twitter are saying, we all love Aldo here. Let's bet Aldo. Aldo shouldn't be the dog here. And all of a sudden he's plus 110. Like, the bookies are going, none of your money matters. Merab needs to be a bigger favorite. So to me, that's a huge sign that the actual people that make real money and a living off of gambling think Merab is the side in this fight. So for me, I've been on the fence. I've leaned towards Aldo. It's Merab or pass. I'm either betting the young buck or I'm staying completely off it. I'm not going to bet Jose Aldo because it would just be classic me, guys. I would lose money on Aldo 3 times and then go, okay, I'm going to bet on Aldo, and then he loses. That would be exactly what happens in this spot. So it's Merab or pass. I'm either sticking with the fade or I'm staying off it altogether. I can see Merab getting this thing done most likely by decision because of the takedown defense we've seen from Jose Aldo. But that gas tank has been something that's been cracked before, and we are at elevation. And the pace Merab puts on people breaks them a little earlier than we would normally have seen. If you want to sprinkle the round 3 TKO for Merab, I don't hate it. He's a decision machine, so you're probably not going to hit it. The money line is safe enough. But like I said, if you're looking for a little degenerate sprinkle, it's maybe not a bad way to do it. I'm going to go ahead and side with the machine, I think.
The machine.
I am the machine.
Yeah. Dude, this fight is so fucking exciting. I really can't wait for it. One other bet I do like, I think, what's the fight to go the distance? Is that, can we get that? Oh, minus 210.
It's juicy.
Man, not that bad.
I'm on Merab. Merab money line minus 135 is good enough for me.
Wow. Let me get.
That's like a to win 2 units is what I need to play.
Ooh, see, they got Merab round 3 or decision. Was that a plus or applying it? Oh, that's a plus. Merab round 3 or decision plus 115.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I mean, honestly, guys, one thing that I've learned is those types of numbers, you just don't got to get fancy with it. Like minus 135 is laying 1.35 units to win 1. Is it that tall of an order? You know, winning 1.1 unit instead of winning 1 unit, is it that big a difference to you? Like, no. I'd rather have those first 2 rounds in case Aldo slips on a banana peel, just in case. It's not a big enough swing. If you were getting plus 160, now we can talk. but
Right.
you know, going from minus 135 to plus 115, that's just not enough crack for me. I'm not looking for that kind of a bump. I'll take something bigger.
I like it. I appreciate the veteran philosophy. You know, sometimes I need that, so I appreciate.
You know, it was a long time ago. It was a long time ago that Aljamain Sterling was a pick'em, a minus 110 against Corey Sandhagen.
Oh God, I was on Sandhagen.
I decided to go ahead and bet Aljamain Sterling by decision because it was plus 155 instead of laying the minus 110. Taps him in the first round. Never saw that coming. Never saw that coming, and lost because I tried to buy a couple extra pennies. When it's a pick'em, when it's a low buy spot already, don't get fancy.
I really appreciate that.
2.7 to win too.
I love the backstory too because it's so apropos.
Yeah, we're chalking it up on that one. So that brings us to our next fight. We're going to see a considerable drop off here, people. It just is what it is. So, Woo Yanan.
Yeah, this card is crazy.
Yanam Woo. Depends. UFC Stats has it one way. DraftKings has it another. Not sure, but Yanam Woo versus Lucy Pudilova coming back to the UFC now at SBG Ireland. Kind of the same fighter she's always been. Lucy Pudilova, welcome back. Yanam Woo, I don't know. I guess I was expecting like a split decision fight against Bueno Silva, but not enough wrestling overall. So yeah, she was going to lose from distance in that fight. That was clear. But here, maybe Pudilova kind of forces the issue by getting inside, and she ends up in the clinch and in like offensive or even defensive wrestling situations a bunch. So ultimately, I feel like Pudilova, I mean, she only spends 63% of her time at distance. Same deal as, as Woo. But yeah, I mean, Woo's been taken down a bunch. I just don't see Lucy really being successful on her there. And I think Woo has actually kind of shown that, like, she can be a little bit of a top control person at times. She's faced the better competition recently, maybe not overall, but at least recently. And yeah, I mean, neither of them really have a good win in the UFC overall. Yeah, I guess it just comes down to if I have to play this fight, I'm taking the dog. Give me Woo, give me plus 100. I don't want to think too much more about it. So
yeah, I don't hate the shot on the dog, especially in lower level women's MMA. My concern with Woo is that she doesn't really do too much very well. She's just kind of mediocre basically everywhere. So it's kind of a problem. Lucy Pudilova is at least what I've seen as of late in her post UFC career, right? And now she's returning. And the Octagon promotion. She throws, man. She at least wants to come forward and put it on her opponents, man. She's got a nice step and jab, likes to work the 1-2 combo, has steady pressure. The one thing that is a problem is that she can get taken down and can be controlled at times. So if you're Woo and Woo Yanan, whoever you are, and you're fighting Lucy Pudilova, and and you want to win, you probably should get your wrestling shoes on. But otherwise, man, she's gonna lose this fight, and she's done from the UFC because this is 4 fights. This is her 4th one. So actually, it's her 6th. So maybe not, but it'll be 4 fights in a row. So I assume that's it. I think that's the end of the road. So, yeah, I don't really like Lucy here. I don't really like Yanan here. I'm taking Lucy. Lucy even by decision. But, yeah, no more rambling. What do you think, Clint?
I'm not touching this one, guys, and I can save us a little bit of time here. Earlier in the week when I was doing my own show, this is the one I saved a little bit of time on. Like, I know both these women pretty much well enough, and you can sometimes dig in and find gems in these types of undervalued fights. I'm not doing it. I expected more from Yanam Woo. I really did. I thought she was going to be something. She is not turning the corner. She is not evolving. She's not getting better. Lucy is rough. And 2 of her recent wins to get her back in the UFC came by split decision. Like, she's just not that good.
Yeah.
So I think it's dog or pass. You want the fighter that the UFC thinks is probably the one that has some longevity, some staying power, and Woo. Like, maybe this is a spot where they signed Lucy just to get Woo a win or something like that. But I play the split decision prop. I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't think you bother picking a side in this spot. I see a lot of strong takes out there. The line moved towards Woo. A lot of people seem to be piling in on the Woo Yanan side of things, and I get it. She's got the grappling edge, and if you think that's enough, go for it. But I've got a feeling this fight is going to be 2 women in the middle of the cage, winging pillow fists at one another at a very high rate of speed, and the judges are going to go, that one. So I'm expecting a split decision. I'm expecting chaos, not one that I have an interest in putting my money on.
Split decision is only plus 330.
That's the same line as the Edwards one that we won, right?
Was it?
Yes.
Then it's gonna hit.
It's a winning line.
The bookies are starting to get smart about split decisions, guys. It used to be like plus 450, like straight down the board, and now they're going, oh shit, some of these fights are more likely than others to go to a split. So yeah. They know this one is more likely to go to a split. So it's plus 330, plus 300 instead. They're not dumb, those bookies, bastards.
No, to that point, my final point, you look, Jackson Wink and SBG Ireland. Which team can stumble over their own feet more in this fight? So
that's hysterical. That's actually really funny.
There you go. So I think that wraps that one up. And
only true UFC fans would find that joke funny. That's a good one.
But hey, I mean, guys, thank you so much for being here live in the chat. We're having an awesome time with Clint from @DiehardMMAPod, @DiehardUFC on Instagram. If you're somehow in this show watching us and you're not already following Clint, you guys are obviously fucking up in life. So fix that if it's not already been fixed. Come back into the show. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel. If you're already not, once again, if you're already not doing it for Clint, make sure you're doing that too. So, but this is the fight that all the people have been waiting for.
That's true.
This is the one. Tyson Pedro versus Harry Hunsucker. Here we made it, people. This is the one. I guess.
Hang on. I need to contain my excitement. Relax. Okay, now we can do it.
All right, he got a breath. We're good. So I mean, I guess realistically, when I was watching, like Jared Vanderaa on Contender Series, I was like, well, Harry Hunsucker, like he's just realistically not a heavyweight, so you can't really rate Vandeرا's win there. Hey, guess what? Harry Hunsucker's finally going to be a light heavyweight here in the UFC. So plus 530, Harry Hunsucker by knockout. I just feel like it's such a meme at this point that it's just not going to happen. And it's just like, it's like almost like Parker Porter by sub, or like one of those bets where everyone, it's like an inside joke and like everyone plays it. And it's like everyone, like, I don't know. I want to play Harry Hunsucker. I feel like the line's too wide. I feel like Tyson Pedro, but like, is Harry Hunsucker better than Ike Villanueva, or is this just like a lateral step? Is it a downward step? I don't even know how to rate this fight for Tyson Pedro either, coming off of his win. I mean, Tyson Pedro, you just beat Ike Villanueva. Like, congratulations. You did it, man. So I just have no interest in playing this fight. Over 1.5 at plus 275, zero interest, even though that would be kind of funny. I can't see this fight going the distance. However, every time we have a fight goes the distance, plus 650, and the no is minus 1,400. Fuck it, this fight's going the distance. So plus 650. Let's go. We're laying like 0.1 unit, 0.2 units. Fuck it, because that's just what happens at this point. 100%. I think it's a profitable angle. Anytime it's like minus 800 or more for fight doesn't go the distance, just fuck it, fade it. Somehow they're gonna be like they're gonna be holding each other on the mat, just like making out and shit. Like, I don't know. Something's gonna happen.
Mute your mic. Relax. Go to sleep. Go take a nap. Shh. We're putting him on timeout. Shh. Okay. First off, it's an interesting thought. Oh, he left. It's an interesting thought.
Timeout.
However, in his 4 UFC fights, the man has not been the distance. Or his two UFC fights and 1 Contender Series fight hasn't been the distance. And then his 2 fights, I mean, he's never been the distance. He's never been the distance. So it's not. I don't think it starts here. I'm just not sure that he has the medal for it. Pedro knocked his last opponent. Yeah.
Damn it, Papa, get out of here before I get my turn.
Jesus Christ, Papa.
Damn, Papa.
Oh my God, my bad. Oh my God. All right. Well, we got to move
calling his shot.
Jesus Christ.
Tyson, I think, gets it done by finish. I think that's the bet. What do you think, Clint?
Papa knows what's up. Papa knows what's up. Everybody thinks Tyson Pedro by knockout because of his recent activity. You know, everybody thinks Harry Huntsucker, he's been knocked out 3 times in a row. It's obviously a KO. But guys, Pedro is slick on the ground. He is a big boy and he knows how to grapple. With Harry Huntsucker dropping down a weight class, this fight could get interesting. He's not going to be quite as at a severe size disadvantage at 205. I think it could get hairy. Pedro may get rocked. He might think he needs to take it to a place where he's got a bigger advantage. And if that's the case, we're hitting the ground. And I do think that sub is probably going to be the best way to go. Papa, I'm just giving you shit. You're good to go in the chat, man. That's the second time on the show it's happened. Somebody commented what I was going to say. So,
we love you, Papa.
No, it's good. It's good. I think that if you're going to play this fight, you got to bring the price down somehow, right? Like, how are you going to play a minus 750? Like,
I love it.
He should.
I actually think he's going to get this sub too. Now that we're calling it like that, I really do. For sure, what is the line on finish? Just to be sure, because I'm sure it's
finish is probably like minus 300.
Yeah, it's so in minus 550.
That's because he could do it either way, and that's the
so
problem.
Submission is.
Submissions
plus 275 and knockouts minus 225. I know which poison I want to pick.
Exactly.
So I would
to quote my guy Lou, it pays better.
There you go. And Clint with the great call here. Papa Chuck with the great call in the chat. People in the chat, keep it popping. We love you. This is awesome. I love when our guests. Me? No.
I just love you.
No. I was gonna say no. I love when our guests and our other guests in the chat are all aligning on stuff because that's when you know like that shit's fire. All lines are blown. Cocaine, baby. Let's go.
Hey, literally, these lines are. It's like a balloon, Ariel. My foot was like a balloon. These lines are balloons, man. They're crazy.
Hell yeah! I actually recognize your balloon joke this time.
Yeah, it's last time
I'm making. Yeah, no, I was sleeping. So hey, listen. So okay, all right. The excitement level is going to pick back up here. We got Marcin Tybura versus Alexander
excitement.
King Kong Romanov as Guru drums up the excitement for us. Damn, I mean, this one, they moved it from the main card and said, no, we need Wu Yanan versus Lucy Pudilova. We need Marcin Tybura and Alexander Romanov not to be on the main card. In all fairness, they're using this fight to try to get people to pay for the pay-per-view. So in that sense, it makes sense. But it's like, put it on the fucking pay-per-view.
When you actually think about it, the last fight before you head into your pay-per-view is probably when you're getting the most time because you're getting close to that pay-per-view time and you're on live TV. So
they're just trying to sell the pay-per-view. They're expecting blood and glory from this fight, and they want everybody to roll over and buy the thing.
And realistically, when you're buying the pay, let's just be honest, because let's think about people who buy pay-per-views. I don't know them, but if you're buying a pay-per-view, you're buying it to watch Kamaru Usman. So you're not going to buy it now that they've pulled Tybura from it. It just waters down the product a little bit. But if you're paying $75, you're already paying $75. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. That's why they do it, because it doesn't make a difference.
So I guess there's a few things that stand out on paper here to me, looking at Alexander Romanov in this matchup against Marcin Tybura. Romanov is minus 345, Tybura plus 285. That line's been shrinking. But the things that are kind of catching my eye here, because, I will say I didn't look too much at these stats ahead of time this week. Romanov is the smaller guy on paper, but this is one of those ones where I really want to see the face-off before I make that final determination.
Agreed.
We've seen it. Yeah, Clint, how many times have you seen it messed up, man?
The last couple of weeks have been egregious. I don't know what it is. They need to get their measuring tapes back out. I mean, these guys come in and do photo shoots and weigh-ins every single week. Re-measure all of them because they're so far off on these measurements on some of these guys. And it's not even funny for us sports gamblers and bettors who rely on these stats. I need to see these guys looking eye to eye before I can figure out who's actually the bigger or the smaller man. Because if Marcin Tybura does have a full inch on Romanov, honestly, guys, I'll be a little surprised. Like, I'm thinking back to when Marcin Tybura took on my guy Volkov. And Volkov is huge. Volkov's massive. And that's kind of the image of Romanov I have in my head, is that he's this big lumbering heavyweight dude. And even though he's slimmed down, and I think that's a big point in this fight, by the way, is that he's gotten himself in serious shape for this one. If he's rocking smaller than Tybura, like, we might need to reassess how far we think this guy is going to go in the division, because Tybura is not the biggest heavyweight going. So yeah, I want to see them face off. And I'm hoping Romanov turns out to be the bigger guy and the stats are stupid like they usually are, but we'll find out.
100%. So, Clint, to your point, man, this is one of those ones. I'm sitting there on Friday. I'm at my computer. It's after work, and I'm where the fuck is the undefeated post weigh-in show? I need it. I need it now. And then you listen. Make sure you guys tune in, Clint, every week on Friday. The undefeated post weigh-in show. You make sure you watch the face-offs yourself. But then Clint, I mean, he watches these guys every time, so he knows every little detail. And that's the thing. We really need to see what these guys look like next to each other before I can bet this fight. I'm sorry. That's just how it is, because I want to play the over here really badly. And I want to play Romanov and the over here really badly. But if he's like sizably bigger than Tybura, even after losing weight, he might just finish him. It could just be a finish. And it could be one of those ones where you tried to fade Romanov one fight too early. That's kind of where I ended up on this fight. Like, I've been trying to get too cute. I've been like pushing back the other direction recently, where it's like, I need to be playing these veterans that need, like, Guru pushes me on this all the time, so he'll vouch for it. It's like, we're betting these guys that like need every single fucking thing to go perfectly to win the fight. Last week, Dominic Cruz, same fucking thing. You need every single thing to go your way in the fight to win. That's what Marcin Tybura needs here. And guess what? We're banking on Romanov gassing out because we saw some fat fucking lard gas out in round 3 against Juan Espino. Guess what? I think Juan Espino is a step up from Marcin Tybura still. I think they're still building Romanov back up from that fight because they saw what happened too. They saw it. I think Juan Espino is bigger than Marcin Tybura. I think Juan Espino is a better wrestler than Marcin Tybura.
Couldn't tell by the stats.
That's it. Exactly. So
he's been more active than Marcin Tybura.
Fuck, man. So yes, Marcin's had to pull out of fights. He's been sick. He's been injured. He couldn't fucking take down Alexander Volkov one time in his last fight on 14 attempts. My dog, if you're the wrestler and you're supposed to be giving Romanov a hard time, you might just be over the fucking hill at that point. I'm sorry.
And the UFC is, if you really think about it, the UFC's pissed at Marcin Tybura. No, they are, because they had to go fight. And then Marcin pulled out again, right? So that's why they gave Jairzinho the quick turnaround with the main event that he then lost, right?
Yeah, but they wanted him to fucking knock out Marcin.
Right. He then lost, but then they gave him he lost, but now he's got a fight booked versus Chris Dawkins now. So like, you know what I mean? They still like Jair for all that stuff. Jairzinho Rosenstrike for all that stuff, but they're pissed at Tybura, so they gave him a beast in Romanov. It's not, they gave him like his twin, like, except maybe a little bit better. You're like me, but just maybe a little bit better at everything.
Next generation.
Exactly. So I like Romanov here.
Yeah, and I'm one of the guys that made the argument for Tybura early on in the week. You know, I talked about that fight. I felt robbed because I had a Juan Espino ticket in my pocket that night when the split decision went the wrong way. It was a rough night for me, guys. That one really frustrated me.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like, the longer I've sat on this and as the week has gone on, something that really digs at me is when people pat me on the back and agree with me. I'm so used to being the better that goes off the wall. I'm so used to being the crazy guy that people don't agree with, that when I get people going, yeah, Clint, you're right, good job, I'm like, oh shit, what'd I do wrong? Like, why are these people suddenly agreeing with me instead of mocking my pick? Like, and that's kind of how I feel here, that like we're all on the same plus 300 underdog. it doesn't bode well. You know, when everybody lines up on the same underdog, it just doesn't end up being a thing that really works out all too well. I do think Marcin Tybura is a big step up in competition for Romanov. I do think this is the stiffest test that he's had to date. I also think that at a certain point, high-level wrestling trumps high-level jiu-jitsu. And in the heavyweight division, Marcin's not throwing arm bars off of his back. He's going to have to get on top of Romanov. I'm not convinced he can do that. I want to see the weigh-ins. I want to see the face-offs. Let's see how big these guys really are. I do also like that over 1.5. Minus 190 at this point. It's been kind of beaten to hell. It's a little pricey. I wish I jumped on it a little earlier in the week because I do see this fight probably going a little bit deeper. You know, we've seen a couple guys be able to put up with the offensive takedowns of Romanov, and he'll just revert to riding the body lock. I think he can do that to someone like Tybura all day. And Tybura really, he is a slicker striker. He definitely is, but he needs to be at striking range for that really to be overly effective. And the way we saw Romanov get gassed out from him defending like high level takedowns, from being in massive scrambles, Marcin Tybura plays it safe off of his back. Yes, he knows how to get up to his feet, but he's not a counter wrestler. He's not going to go for the knee and go for the switches the way Espino did. Like, it's just a different level. So I don't know that Tybura is going to push the pace enough to gas out Romanov. And I said this on Monday. This is that fight that you go, Romanov won round 1, easy. Round 2 was a little close. Marcin Tybura worked his way back into it. Round 3, Romanov's gassed out, but he landed that one takedown early. I think Marcin Tybura got rounds 2 and 3, and it's 29-28 Romanov. Like, it's the spot where the value is there. It's going to make sense. We're all going to groan when we collectively rip up our Marcin Tybura tickets. But at the end of the day, I do think that Romanov is probably going to win this fight. I actually don't mind the decision prop in this spot. I know a couple of people have been floating the idea of the knockout. I don't necessarily mind that either because Tybura has been tagged on the chin a couple times. But I think Romanov, with the new gas tank, with the step up in competition, facing a better caliber opponent that knows defensively what to do when he's on his back, he's not going to give up an easy sub or something like that. Kind of think he gets his first decision here in the UFC because we're not counting the Juan Espino fight as an actual decision.
That is an interesting thought. With the decision, I do like fading the narrative there. My one other thought, though, with that is that, like you were mentioning, Tybura, 3 of his 5 UFC losses are by knockout.
Yes.
And getting dusted by Augusto Sakai is a bad look. And Shamil Abdul-Rakhimov is not good. And Derek Lewis, that's excusable at least. But
that was back. That was back in 2019.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he fights Sergey Spivak, Grishin, Ben Rothwell, and Greg Hardy and Walt Harris. So there's nobody really there Did
he out wrestle Sergey Spivak though? So
here's my thing though. Would you compare Alexander Romanov more to Sergey Spivak or Augusto Sakai?
He's probably in the middle of those. Like, they had a baby, I guess.
No, see, I don't think he's anywhere near Augusto Sakai striking. Like, this guy is nothing on the feet. I think Marcin Tybura is levels above Alexander Romanov on the feet. Now, he did go out to Tiger Muay Thai for this camp. He's training it. He's working on it. He's a young, big, hungry, meatball of a man. But I don't think he's anywhere near Shamil Abdurakhimov. He's nowhere near a Derek Lewis. Like, those are the guys that were really knocking out Marcin Tybura. If he's knocking out Marcin Tybura, it's going to be ground and pound. I don't see him catching him with something sloppy on the feet. That just doesn't happen to this version of Marcin Tybura anymore.
The one line inconsistency I saw, and it made me kind of want to play it, but after hearing that, maybe I don't. Romanov KO or sub is -1 fight, so Romanov by finish is -145 on FanDuel, which is arguably not a great line. But on DraftKings, it's +100.
50-50.
-145 +100.
50.
I like +100 to win Romanov by finish.
You want one unit?
Hey, he's a finishing monster. It could happen. And that's where this fight to me gets really sketchy, guys. It gets really hard. It's just like the Pedro fight. It's tough to play it because you got to pick one of these sides and you're not sure which way it's going to bounce.
How about this?
He could grind this.
How about my
What up,
newest
Mac?
favorite? Wait. How about my newest favorite thing? What about Romanov round 3 or decision plus 180?
Ooh.
Because
Round
then
three
Ah,
decision.
see,
What up, Lou?
It's going a little
What
later.
up, yo hoes?
I don't know.
What's up, Lou?
It's just
Love
another way
you,
to
Lou.
slice that pie.
See, I can get that, but the problem for me is if anybody's finishing this fight late, I think it's Marcin Tybura. I don't think Marcin Tybura has the better gas tank of the two. If anybody's outpacing the other one and winning later in the fight, it's not Romanov. Romanov is a front loader. Romanov's going to throw you on your head and put his forearm on your neck and choke you out in the first round. Like, that's what he does. If this thing hits round 3, he's just going to be looking to get to the bell. So again, that's where, like, I've got a problem on this fight, guys. I don't like it. Money line, parlay piece, Romanov. Like, I don't even like that. Like, I think the guy's going to win. I think it goes over 1.5. Will I be shocked if he throws Marcin Tybura on his head and then overhand rights him while he's on the ground trying to put his feet up and knocks him out cold in the first? I will not be surprised whatsoever. But that's what makes this fight so hard to bet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Maybe I do like fading the narrative with the fight goes the distance, but now that makes me hate my whole handicap. So,
see, and you know what I've learned? When that happens, you pass. There's no point in putting your hard-earned money on that fight. If you're doing this, if you're getting swayed, you're not confident enough to put your money on it. And that's something I'm working on myself right now because I've recently been doing that a lot. Like, people that I respect, when I have a read on a fight, I have fight or flight mode. If you talk to me about a fight and I've got a solid stance on it, I will counter your point. I will say, no. Let me tell you why I am right. And that's when I know I'm confident enough to put a bet on it. If somebody gives me a counterpoint and I'm like, oh yeah, like, you're not confident. You're not confident. Don't do that then. That gives you a reason to stay off it if you haven't already put your money in there. Now, if you've already locked up the bet, diamond hands, baby. Let it ride. Trust yourself. But if you haven't made the bet yet, there's no point in getting on there if you're wobbling.
Damn. Clint spent the week in a cocoon and has emerged a beautiful intellectual butterfly. A gambling phenom. He's ready. I love it. Philosophy all day. We love it. Oh my goodness. We're gonna need it for this next fight.
It's Mr. Ho to you, Lou. That's right.
Mr. Ho, exactly. I'm actually Dr. Ho, so I worked hard for that PhD.
So I think we broke the hell out of that one down, and we did a great job. So now let's go on to Leonardo Santos versus Jared Flash Gordon. Santos plus 225, Gordon minus 265. And fuck, man, I just want to play Santos by knockout at plus 800. That's just about it.
Wow.
I really want to do it.
I really want to know.
Why the fuck? Like, why can't 7-inch reach advantage, 3-inch height advantage? How is Jared Gordon taking him down in the first round? It's not happening. So if they stay on the feet in the first round, you got a fucking 1.4 knockdown percentage. And Jared Gordon loves to get knocked down when he faces bigger fighters that he can't just muscle around. He shouldn't really be at 155.
Naked leg kicks.
Thank you. He should be at fucking 145. He just can't make the cut. He should be at like 150. That should be his division. He would be fine. And he doesn't even really want to be there. Like, he's admittedly there for the fucking paycheck and the platform. Admittedly. And he's not Clay Guida, who's going to fucking fight for your money. Dude, remember us? We picked Leonardo Santos and we're sitting on your couch watching the fights and we bet Clay Guida right before because we're like, look at him. Like, we just fucking know he's going to fight for him and he's going to get us a win. And like, it wasn't even official. It wasn't tracked, but we had a great time. No, you did. You might have, but I know officially, like, for the podcast, we were not on Clay Guida. But then there we are. And we made money on him because the dude is willing to fight for your money. Like Jared Gordon, if Leonardo Santos is like, he's more like the image of Faceplant City potential rather than like fight for your money when your mouthpiece gets knocked out 5 times and you're still taking knees to the face. So Leonardo Santos plus 800 knockout is just stupid. Plus 700 submission might even be stupid if it's like the club and sub because he almost choked out Clay Guida too, right? Like,
he did say at the presser that he wanted revenge for getting submitted and he might go get his own.
Bro, so
inside the distance is like plus 550.
Thank you. That was Clint. You're beautiful. Papa Chuck stole your thunder. You get to take this one because that's where we're going. That's my official where I'm ending up. Thank you, Clint.
Wow.
That was a great assist.
That's the one I've been looking at betting basically all week. If I could jump in here just because I'm agreeing
Yes,
with you, man.
yes.
I've been looking at playing that line myself all week, and I think it's such an easy spot to live bet Jared Gordon later on in the fight, because if this fight goes the way we think it's going to be an early Santos round, which is going to bring the price tag down. Gordon should never be minus 350 here in this spot. That number is going to come down after round one. You can get in live after round one because we know the tides will turn at that point. And Santos, he could win a decision. I might do the thing where I do a unit money line and then half a unit inside the distance type of thing, because more than likely he finishes. Maybe he wins the decision. I don't want to just miss out on that if he does somehow go all 15 minutes. But if these guys stay at kicking range, I don't see why Leo Santos can't conserve his energy and have a kickboxing fight that he wins against Jared Gordon, who's far shorter and is going to have a hard time closing that reach. And then, yeah, if Jared Gordon comes out and puts on a clinic here in rounds 2 and 3 and mauls him and tries to get him out of there in the third round, like maybe, yeah, okay, maybe. But is he paying off a minus 300 price tag? I don't think so. Gordon's chinny. He's 33. He's past his prime. He, like I said, he leaps in with those naked leg kicks at kickboxing range. That's why he eats left hands all the time. That's how Charles Oliveira got him out of there. I think Leo Santos can knee him in the face when he comes in for a takedown as well. There's a lot of upside here for Leo Santos, and people just don't like that he lost by finish to Clay Guida his last fight. There's an alternate universe where that fight gets stopped in that first round.
Yes.
A lot of judges and officials, a lot of referees would have stepped in and waved that fight off. Like, he should be coming off a round 1 knockout, in my opinion. So, yeah, I like the dog here myself, but I'm a notorious Jared Gordon hater. Not on a personal level. I like the guy as a dude. I always have to clarify that. But I think he's just a guy that's traditionally overvalued.
Was that the reverse Keith Peterson? The alcohol and cigarettes, not paying attention and getting the finish rather than stopping it too early? That was the reverse that time, right?
He was on shrooms, so he was just stuck there staring. Like, oh, my God.
All right, Guru. You've waited so patiently. It's been too long.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one. Initially, I was on Jared Gordon, but when I saw how wide it was, I was off. But now that line has started to close. You know, you saw Jared Gordon. FanDuel has Jared Gordon minus 310 and Leo Santos plus 230. Plus 230 is still not even that great anymore. Whereas now on DraftKings, you got Santos at plus 225, similarly not great. But Jared Gordon minus 265. So they got that 3 numbers long gone at minus 265, at least on DraftKings. So that to me is super interesting. So that's closing more where I think it should be, right? The line was clearly way too wide. It is interesting, right? Because you're right. The recency bias is definitely dictating this line. And that's probably why you have to play Leonardo Santos, because people hate that he lost to Clay Guida, like you said, Clint. And that's what is sticking in people's memories. But what Leonardo Santos does really well is have incredible takedown defense. So if Jared Gordon isn't taking him to the ground, it, like TB said, it could be a tough day on the feet for Jared, especially when Leo is much longer, taller, wider, longer. The problem still, though, at 41 years old, is what level of Leonardo Santos are we getting? He was just finished by Clay Guida. Clay Guida put some work in on him. So we're really just hoping for Leonardo to just pull it out of his ass too. Like, you gotta, he's gotta. What is he gonna look like? You want him to look like how he looked against Bogatov at Usman versus Masvidal in 2020? Is that who he? It's just not it's tough. It's tough. He's just not.
I get it, but Jared Gordon's not a stick to your leg type of wrestler like some of those guys, and he's not strong. He's not a true 155er like some of those guys. That's my other thing. Like he's forced to move up because
he's a 148er.
Yeah, agreed. All right.
So
listen, I don't.
It's fair. It's fair, but bro, don't switch your pick if you were on it, please. I don't want to hear about it. Come on. All right. So, anyways. Our next fight, we got Sean Woodson versus Luis Saldana. This is one of those ones where I think we're getting to appropriate territory. Sean Woodson minus 340, Saldana plus 280. This is one of those fights though that I just don't want to bet it because Sean Woodson probably wins a decision, and me and Guru have been talking a lot recently. And it's like if someone's going to win a decision, unless it's going to be like one of those dominant wrestling decisions, you can't really bet the money line like that, bro.
His stats are fucked. He does not eat 18 strikes a minute, and his defense is not negative 147%.
Hang tight. I probably typed one number wrong, so I'll pull that down and fix it. So, Guru, tell me, what do you think about this?
You have offended me, sir. No,
good.
Listen,
I hope you're offended.
I'm very offended. So the thing is, is with Sean Woodson. I was hoping maybe Clint can answer this question for me. Where the fuck has Sean Woodson been? Where's he been? So he beats Colin Anglin in 4 minutes, doesn't really take too much damage in that fight, and it's been 9 months. Where has he been? Did he have surgery?
He's been shaving his calves so he can make 145.
Jeez. Roasted.
Hey.
Yeah. So
I have no idea. I have no clue why he's been gone so long.
That's weird. If you have a knockout win and you don't take damage, why are you not fighting? So he beats a midget in Colin Anglin, who looks like a midget to him.
Jesus.
And he beats Yusuf Zalal by I know. And he beats Yusuf Zalal by split decision. And we've seen how inconsistent and not great Yusuf Zalal is, dropping the first 2 rounds to Damon Blackshear before getting a 10-8 in the third, because Damon was, not exactly on a full camp. So that's not a good look. And then you got somebody in Luis Saldana, who is probably one of my least favorite fighters of all time, solely because I think I bet against him 3 times. I made money, I think, against betting Austin Lingo, but I lost a ton of money for sure betting Jordan Griffin and Bruno Souza. And he did not beat Jordan Griffin. And that Souza fight was close. So if TB says he won, he won. And I respect
I thought Saldana won, yeah.
But he did not beat Jordan Griffin. So that was some bullshit. And I'm still salty about it. So fuck that. And he beat Vince Murdoch to get here. Vince Murdoch is an awesome dude, but couldn't exactly make the cut, tough 29 contestant. So I like Sean Woodson here, but not at like TB said.
He just lost to a 2-7 guy.
Yeah, exactly. It was really bad. Exactly. Not a good look for Vince Murdoch. So Saldana, not great. Sean Woodson, not a finisher, makes things closer than they need to be. Kind of circles at times. I don't know. Just doesn't have that, finishing. He's just not a finisher per se, unless you're finishing Terrence McKinney, which is the craziest. I'd love to see a rematch of that. That'd be fucking sick. But yeah, I guess I know Woodson, but fuck that, because I like the fight. If I'm laying the chalk, I would dude. But that's the other thing. Can somebody tell me why is the fight to go the distance -125? I think it's going the distance. I don't think either of these guys finish each other.
See, I think Sean Woodson's going to knock Luis Saldana out. Saldana's got a bad gas tank, man.
Yeah.
Did you watch his last couple fights? He's done at the end of round 2 in every single fight. Against Bruno Souza, his mouth was hanging wide open. He literally stopped in the middle of the fight to put his hands on his knees to catch his breath. We're at elevation, buddy. True. His gas tank is shot this weekend. Round 3.
Oh, here we go. We're fixed.
Sean Woodson, round 3 knockout is, that's the good read work for me, man. Bro. I think if we're keeping this thing at range, kickboxing match, the range, the reach, the movement, all of that goes to Sean Woodson. I'm not a giant Sean Woodson guy. In fact, I'd love an opportunity to fade him, but this ain't the guy. And especially considering this guy has a bad gas tank in a place where bad gas is going to be a problem, I think we get a finish in this spot. And if he has any shot of winning this fight, it's Luis Saldana's grappling. We've seen that be the piece of the puzzle that is missing for Sean Woodson. The guys that have caused him problems are the guys that are wrestling, and he actually has some submissions on his record from the regional scene. If he comes in here, closes the range, and tries to get this thing to the mat, all of a sudden the fight is super interesting from a Saldana side of things, and he probably can tap him out. So, yeah, I'd be looking more for violence myself personally.
Ooh. Again, so you sold me. But that's sick though, because I was just trying to make sure that my dislike of Saldana didn't go too far. But
no, it does not go far enough.
Then I'm putting on my devil horns. Let's fucking go. Sean Woodson by finish is plus 150. So
is he subbing him ever though? I mean, what's the KO prop?
KO is plus 175.
So
maybe, yeah.
To your point,
KO's the side.
20 strikes per minute at distance for Sean Woodson. He's going to fucking drown him. You're right. He's not going to be Bruno Souza throwing 20 strikes per round.
Exactly.
That's why Saldana won.
And Saldana was able to outrange Bruno Souza. He was able to stay on the end of the punches. Anderson Silva head movement to duck and dodge his way around this guy. He's at like a 5-inch reach disadvantage here in this fight. There's no way he can pull that off against Woodson.
Knockout.
Woodson could be a parlay piece.
Parlay piece plus knockout. There you go. Because that was it. We thought he couldn't get the finish, but as we dig deeper, we find out that it's actually more probable than ever. So sorry, that was like one of those murder mystery things. That was so fucking weird. Wow. Anyway, so we got Miranda Maverick versus Shauna Young. Talk about weird.
The Shanimal.
What's Maverick's nickname? Fear the Maverick?
Fear the Maverick. Fear the Maverick.
I mean, come on. That's more disappointing than what I just did because like you actually had to commit to it. Like forever. Like you chose that. Me, I just, I was just
name a Maverick you've ever been afraid of. Why do we fear the Maverick?
Yeah, what is a Maverick? Oh, well, what's a Maverick? A Maverick's it's got to be something. Well, the Dallas Mavericks is a cowboy, so you feel the
it's like exactly like I don't know, whatever. But anyways,
Goose and Maverick Top Gun.
Miranda Maverick versus Shauna Young. We got minus 645. Miranda Maverick and Shauna Young plus 480. Has much really changed since their first matchup here?
Maverick's a horse. Thank you, PC.
Yeah. What's going on, man? So ultimately, like, Maverick should be a parlay piece, but it's kind of outside of that sketchy women's favorite range that I love to avoid. Like that like minus 130 to minus 230 range. They're losing like every week. But yeah, this one, I'm serious, dog. We just faded another couple last week. Nina Nunes, once again, boom, there you go. What was the other one that won? We had another one too. It was Cachoeira, the same price range. I'm telling you, all these women's favorites in that range, you could just fade them blindly and you're making money. Anyway, So Miranda Maverick, she's in a safe proposition, but that's fucking boring. It's just the problem is that DraftKings still hasn't released any props for me. Besides, under 2.5 is plus 100.
That's cute.
That
is interesting. I do like that because I actually think she might get the finish. This is the rematch that everybody's been clamoring for. Yeah, Maverick's got that like weird. I don't know. She's cool. She's cool. Anyway.
No, I don't remember the last time the fights were in Utah. It's been too long.
When were the last times the fight were in Utah? It's been a very long time. That's an excellent question. But this is the rematch everyone's been clamoring for. This actually happened in an exhibition fight on Invicta in 2019.
Everyone's been clamoring
for this fight. Miranda Maverick got a round 1 submission there, and that was just 3 years ago. So as soon as these props open up, I mean, I'd take a flyer on Miranda Maverick by sub if it's, I don't know, plus 250.
Clint, what do you think, man?
I just think Miranda Maverick's massively overrated. I'm sorry, guys. She's everybody's darling. Everybody loves her. I don't think she's that great. She's physical. She's strong. She knows how to wrestle. She did make a perfect move. She went to Team Elevation. She's training with Lauren Murphy. She's training with my girl, Rocky Pennington. Like, if I had to pick a gym for her to go to, that's the one I'd send her to. So, like, all props to the young fighter for going to the right place to improve. So I can't say much here. This is one of those spots where I simply think the line is too wide. I don't want to trust Miranda Maverick at this price tag. I think Shauna Young is criminally underrated. And people are like, oh, Clint, just because she beat Gina Mazzani doesn't mean she's underrated. Well, no shit. I bet her against Gina Mazzani. I cashed that ticket. Y'all should have known better. Gina Mazzani's no good. We all know this. Like, it's not that. Like, she was always underrated, and her fights have been weird. So she also is taking her training more seriously now, moving to a real gym, training at a good location in Vegas with better sparring partners, and she's in incredible shape, very physical, very strong. If she can defend a takedown, this fight gets interesting. That's all it comes down to me. Shanna Young's the better striker. Shanna Young hits harder. If she can stop the takedown, this fight gets interesting. I'm not going to bet it because it's probably Miranda Maverick winning, but this is the one. This is this week's Boudet, where the people that parlayed the minus 400 are going when they read the judges' scorecard. So
that was us last week. That was awesome. And
you guys want to know something funny?
Yeah.
You know, okay, I probably shouldn't say this on camera live on a stream, but because it's you guys, I'll do it for you.
Yes.
You know how I said I passed last week? I didn't bet on anything.
Okay.
I'm doing my big dynasty football draft. It's the rookie draft.
Ooh.
I've got the 101. I'm getting a big stud for my football team coming up this next year, and I'm taking the night off fights. So I've got my stream going on my phone, and just every once in a while kind of looking over, keeping an eye on things, but not really engaged, right? So I look over at my phone, and I look at the betting line, and Boudet is like minus 130.
Oh,
I was like, shit. I said Boudet was going to win. He was minus 400 before the fight. Fuck, I'll do it. I threw money blindly on Boudet without watching the fight. So found out later that it was like a blind robbery, and I made money betting Boudet at minus 130 mid-fight. So I did actually make some cash last weekend on the fights, but it was pretty hilarious because I still to this day have not watched that fight yet. I don't know how it went, but from what I understand, the wrong guy got his hand raised.
Just skip it. Save yourself the trouble until you have to scout. It's Dresky, apparently. What the fuck? It's not Bresky, it's Dresky. I was wrong? That wrong? That's bad.
You're always wrong. Don't forget how wrong you are.
Fuck. Anyways,
that's gonna be this
good enough, right?
Don't spend too much time on
it. Clint, the Vikings, no Raiders, baby. Raiders, baby. He's kidding. Yeah.
Oh, baby, this is my year.
Yo, make sure you guys in the chat. Make sure you're throwing a like on the video here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you don't already. We appreciate everyone in here. Chat's popping off this week.
Yes, it is.
Really appreciate you guys being out here and joining us for the show on an abnormal day and time. So, hey, we gotta love it, man. So this next fight here, I think we're kind of guaranteed a barn burner, no?
It's also our final card of the summer, right? Like how many was 10 straight events, I believe?
No, like this is 11,
8 to 10,
12?
8 to 10 or
10?
8 to 12, somewhere between 8 and 12 straight events. It was through the whole summer.
You see how long it's been? We have no idea where we are. We're not in Kansas anymore.
I don't even know what year it is. But what I do know, it's time for AJ Fletcher and Angelosa, which is a sick fight.
It is. I think one of the things that's interesting here is we're kind of have to rate these guys in the UFC off of their losses, which is so difficult because I give way too much credit to what people do in their losses sometimes. So I'm like out here like, oh, well, even though he lost to XYZ, he was still doing this good. And it's like, well, he still fucking lost. It obviously wasn't good enough. And, you still want to notice some certain stuff, but you can't give too much credit. So AJ Fletcher, at the end of the day, he's given up so much reach. He's a fire hydrant. The dude is literally out here to grapple fuck you and to throw sledgehammers at your face. I don't think he's going to knock out Angelosa. That's one thing that I don't think is going to happen. Can Fletcher maybe get his control game going? Maybe he could win a little volume game from distance. But you're showing me that Angelosa's plus 140. I like Sanford MMA a solid amount. I think he's been there for a few camps now. And overall, like, he put up a fucking fight with Jack Della Maddalena. So once again, we're rating losses here, but the losses that Angelosa had, like, you see the loss that AJ Fletcher had, and you're like, oh, like semi, I'm comfortable picking him in his next fight because of how good he looks against AJ Fletcher. And at the end of the day, you just realize that, like, maybe semi wasn't quite as good as I was thinking, and maybe I need to adjust what my expectations for AJ Fletcher were henceforth. Angelosa, Munir Lazez,
4-score.
That's a fucking unit right there, right? Munir Lazez is a fucking unit. And AJ Fletcher, he's gigantic from, like, bicep and pectoral muscle standpoint, but like Losa might, like, once again, I don't trust the height here. I got to see what they actually look like faced off. I have a feeling that Losa is going to be a bigger guy in this spot. And he's going to have a big time reach advantage. I like Losa at plus 140.
I was wondering why line this fight myself, and I kind of had it closer to pick him, and I was very confused as to why AJ Fletcher was such a heavy favorite, and that line has now gotten a little bit closer as the fight has gotten closer to happening, and that makes sense to me. Angelosa is somebody that, like you were saying, is going to be a little bit tougher to take down. Has his own little bit of wrestling, right? I mean, at least takedown defense wise. I'm not sure what he'll use offensively, but he's certainly highly skilled in that regard. And I just don't know exactly what AJ Fletcher is gonna bring to the table in terms of what happens if he can't get his wrestling going. He was able to do it versus Stanley the Jetty, but we know that he doesn't have great takedown defense. So
right.
I kind of like a dog shot here, but I definitely want to see weigh-ins. AJ Fletcher is certainly a beast. He's the one that trains with Dustin Poirier, right? Yeah, he's from Lafayette. He's from Lafayette. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's interesting too. AJ Fletcher's definitely a dog. So,
dope.
I mean, well, Angelosa is the dog, but AJ Fletcher is.
He's the dog.
What do you think?
This is another one I've been bouncing back and forth on, guys. Like I'm having such a tough time on this one because I'm high on AJ Fletcher in general. I had that plus 200 ticket in my pocket against Simmelsberger last time out, so I was impressed. I love how he dug deep. I love how he stayed in that fight. He faced some adversity. He was going for the finish. Like, I loved everything I saw from him, and for him to pop up and be this big of a price tag here, I just don't like it. The 100% takedown defense rating from Lusa has me scratching my head because I'm like, how does AJ Fletcher win this fight if he can't get the grappling going? Is he faster? Yeah, he is. Does he have more volume? Yeah, he probably does. But do you want to get in an extended striking exchange with Lusa? Like, if he can't grapple in this fight, he's going to get hit and he's going to get hurt. And it might look kind of like the Chito Vera-Rob Font fight, where, like, even though he outvolumes him, the more impactful strikes are the ones that steal the show because you can tell there's just no real threat coming from Fletcher's hands, as opposed to when Lusa lands, it's something that backs him off, staggers him, hurts him, makes him uncomfortable, makes him panic shoot. Yeah, I don't like this fight. I don't like the number. I don't like the price tag. I'm going to say Fletcher to get the win, but I think it's dog or pass from a betting perspective. It's another one where I'm just going to download. I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to sit back and watch it. Yes. I don't need to be invested on this fight.
Clint, can I toast you, man? You are really, truly a new man. You are preaching wisdom and patience, taking it, dude, 100%.
You're on a fucking heater, my dog.
No, but even it's just the truth. These guys are young, good prospects that we're going to see more of. You don't need to hammer them here. 2 units on Fletcher just because I like the color of his eyes. What? No, you can't just be doing that shit. You take that moment to learn. I love it.
Guru, the secret is I'm not a young man. I'm an old man. I'm not a new man. I'm an old man. No. And this is what I used to do, guys. It's funny. When I first started the podcast, this is the approach that I took. I was much more selective with my plays. It was 1 and 2 unit max shots. It was never 3 and 4 and 5 units. Like, this is what I did at the beginning. This is what got me to the dance. And I got away from that. I got into the degenerate mode, and I started having fun hitting round 3 props. And don't get me wrong, I'm still going to do a lot of that kind of stuff. I still want to have fun gambling. But at the same time, I got away from what made me successful to the point that it started hurting me. And that's why I've had such a bad year this year. So I'm really trying to anchor myself and get back to what I was good at. So what I'm doing is I'm letting the bets truly come to me. And that's where before I did have 7, 8, 10 bets on a card because I had to have the action. I was a junkie. Like, don't get me wrong. Some of the reads were there. I had some bad beats. I could be up on, some of these fights.
For sure.
But when the reads don't go your way, and you're making bad bets on top of it, you stand the chance to bury yourself. And that's kind of what I've done. So I'm starting to get back to the roots. I'm going to wait for my spots, and the spots where I feel confident on, I'm going to fire. This is not one of them. I think there's value in Ange Lusa. I don't need to flip that coin.
No, you don't. You really don't. Dude, you're oh my God.
We love Justin, we love you, and we need some commitment, and we need to know you're going to be here at least on a weekly basis, if not leaving comments and commenting on our shit and,
oh my
and
goodness,
jazzing us up. Like, listen, man,
TB's a very jealous ex. You don't want to serious. You don't want to cross him.
We're the anxious attached. If we're talking the anxious avoidant, that's what we're doing here. Okay. Anyways,
we've had geography class, we've had math class, now we're having Psych 101.
Yeah, I'm going back to school. I'm getting in the mode, Anyways, yeah, and the only power we have over the bookies, we don't have to place a bet. Sometimes the best bet is the bet you didn't make. Sometimes if your unit is $100, the $5 bet you placed before the fight is the best bet that you made. But sometimes it's the one that you didn't make. You got to save your money sometimes. Sometimes it's just not worth it, and you get hit by a bag of oranges by your Uncle Wheezy. So stay safe out there, people.
Those flying oranges.
Yeah, we get to our next fight. We're here, man. We're moving along. We're getting down the card.
What's that last fight to go the distance?
Fletcher Losa?
Yeah.
That's interesting. What is the line on that?
I'm pulling it up because I'm
okay.
Weird. Let's see.
I mean, it's not weird. That's
right. I was thinking about -160, -165.
My goodness, we need to go to the manual search here. So take your time.
Yeah, over 2.5 on Lucy Fletcher -170. It doesn't seem too bad to me. Fletcher showed he's tough. He can hang in there. Lucy, as much as people, he's explosive, he's fast, he hits hard. He hasn't really KO'd anybody at this level. You know what I mean?
Jack Della didn't finish him, and then the Munir Lazzez fight. Not only is Munir like huge, he took that fight on short notice. Munir Lazzez was supposed to fight. Munir Lazzez was supposed to fight Aleski Santos, and he didn't. He pulled out, so he fought Angelosa. That's how Angelosa got to the UFC.
Yep.
So this should be a much better showing for Angelosa, which is another reason why
you would think so.
I could lean that way.
You would think
and another reason why to lean to the decision, because if he has a full camp, like you'd have to think the cut will be better. Like he won't. Yeah, I like that. We're gonna move on to this fight.
So we got Amir Albazi versus Francisco Figueiredo. Let's just be frank about it. Frankie's not quite Davey, It's just it is what it is. Amir Albazi has been, pretty impressive so far in his run. The one thing I'll say is
where has he been?
You don't finish Zuma, and you don't knock out Malcolm Gordon. You submit him. So what that tells me is that you're not really a finisher on the feet.
Oh, he's not comfortable on the feet as a grappler.
Exactly. So Figueiredo in the later rounds, when he's gassing out, I'm not expecting Albazi to get a knockout on the feet. What I am thinking is Amir Albazi, he hasn't ever been finished before. And Francisco Figueiredo, I mean, he's not a prolific finisher. Yeah, he's got the 8 submission wins, whatever. But I get it. He has all this, whatever. But stuff on the regional scene like that, when you're a black belt and a high level grappler, it works like that. But when you're in the UFC, it kind of levels out more. So I don't think you pull off those easy, Lacerda de Silva. Okay, yeah, you catch him in a knee bar. Okay, I get it. We'll get there later.
Gave him his name.
But Amir Albazi, purple belt on paper, much higher in practice. I think his wrestling is pretty good, and he's comfortable whether he gets put on his back or anything else. And Figueiredo is just one of those guys that, I just don't think he's a prolific finisher at the UFC level, and 2, I hate his gas tank and his cardio. So I get it. Amir Albazi's minus 460. That's kind of crazy, but I'll go winning method Albazi by submission plus 330. So, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. In a card full of possible dog plays, I don't think Francisco Figueiredo is that dog play. Amir Albazi is a consummate grappler, good wrestling, and has found himself, if you watch that Zaglos fight, found himself to be much more comfortable on the feet. He's beating Zaglos on the feet. Not only do I think is he going to beat Francisco Figueiredo on the feet, but we've seen Figueiredo get taken down. He gets taken down by Daniel Da Silva. He's losing that first round. And in a scramble, Da Silva literally, and I'm not a jiu-jitsu practitioner by any means, but he basically in the scramble transition gives him his leg for the knee bar. Like the leg is laying across his face to the point that all he has to do is just grab onto it in proper form.
I could use some available leg like that at the moment. Let me tell you.
Oh my, what? Ew. Anyway, what?
You've stumped him. You have confused him so much.
You
broke the breakdown.
So
we've done it.
Blah, 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 blah. So I think Amir Albazi is going to take him down. I don't think Figueiredo's getting another armbar finish. I picked Da Silva over Figueiredo for a reason. I think Albazi wins. I like Albazi to be part of a money line parlay that I showed to TB. It's about as chalky as it gets. But I think it's our 3 safest plays. I like Amir Albazi, Sean Woodson, who's still crazy. I still might eat it on that one, and Mr. Paulo Costa to get to plus 101. These guys should do it because, like we said, Luis Saldana, poor gas tank, gonna get hit. Figueiredo, not the guy to get it done, not his brother, and old man Luke is halfway retired. He's not in this. He's not in this shit. Clintus Maximus is up though.
I can't add anything to that. I like Amir Albazi a lot, actually, and I'm kind of kicking myself because this was the one that really jumped off the page at me when I was first breaking down this card. That I should have jumped in on a parlay way earlier than I did, but unfortunately, it's a pay-per-view card. It's Thursday night, and we still don't have all the props, so I couldn't do a get fancy parlay with it doesn't go the distance or something like that. I think this is Amir Albazi all day. He's got the upside. He's got the record. He's fought better opponents. And discount Figueiredo is just, he quit. He made a huge mistake and gave his leg up in that last fight. It's a rookie error. He got ground out by Malcolm freaking Gordon, guys, like a jiu-jitsu player with the worst chin in the division. He couldn't knock him out and got out wrestled by him. There's nothing more I need to say here. Amir Albazi should win this fight unless he stubs his toe and finds a way to lose it. I like Amir Albazi in parlays. I don't see any way or any reason why he should lose this fight. Figueiredo's really got to show me something. I think the UFC is using him to prop up a record here, if I'm being honest.
Definitely.
Wow.
It'd be very. I just hope we get to see more of Albazi though too.
I think it's going 15 minutes. I honestly think it's going 15 minutes. I would be looking at Amir Albazi by decision. That prop kind of rings music to my ears for me because the one thing that this Figueiredo seems to have in common with the other Figueiredo is that he's tough. Now, he might gas out and he might give up a referee stoppage TKO or maybe another easy submission or something like that. There's definitely always that danger. But at the end of the day, I think Amir is slightly smaller than Figueiredo. Again, need to watch the weigh-ins. But I think Albazi is smaller than Figgy is, which means it might be one of those situations where it takes a little extra effort to keep him on the mat. So it could just be like a 15-minute grind fest.
Definitely. I agree.
I like that.
And I think that, and I don't think that favors Figueiredo by any means because Albazi, I think the better all-around grapplers and better cardio.
Yeah, better cardio, slicker striker, faster, better wrestler. I think it all favors Albazi. It's just a matter of is he better to the point that he can finish this Figueiredo? Maybe. We'll find out.
It will be interesting to see if he gets the sub because I think to your point, I'm not sure that he's going to hurt him on the feet enough to create that damage to get the sub. So I think Figueiredo's defensive grappling should be decent enough that he doesn't get caught, but he might. When you get tired is everything. So
tired is everything.
Yeah.
Hey, this one is the battle of probably the top nicknames on the card. You got the Mongolian murderer versus the Joker.
The Joker. Richie Lang versus Jay Perrin. Both are very comfortable taking an L, which is a good and a bad thing. They have experience, and we kind of see it in their fights. I think both guys have a pretty well-rounded game plan. The one thing that they don't do is lose by knockout. So I think pretty comfortably you could take that off the table for both these guys. I don't think either one finishes the other by knockout. And in turn, I don't really see a submission coming unless Arichi Long, who's lost round 3 on every judge's scorecard in every fight he's been in, a guy that's kind of gassed out and lost the volume and struggled as the fight's gone on, now he's up at 135 carrying a little extra weight. He's not making as big of a cut, which could be a good thing as far as his chin goes, as far as not being a knockout. But Jay Perrin will get in on you. He's a strong guy. He's a true 135er. He's going to have a 2-inch height advantage. I think he's going to be the thicker guy out there too. Syndicate MMA, so he's got the grappling experience. He's a guy that probably rolls with Jordan Levitt, who's up a weight class from him. Someone that's got really good submission grappling. I know that Jay Perrin's been out there working. I know he's out there tweeting a lot too right now, but I like seeing the confidence. And I know that one thing's for sure, this fight's going to be a war. I do think this fight goes the distance. But if Arichi Long really gasses out hard, you could be seeing a late Jay Perrin finish. So overall, I think you're just seeing Jay Perrin, the line keeps sliding. He was kind of an underdog, like a bigger underdog before. Now he's a plus 115 on DraftKings. And on FanDuel, what do you got there? Was it plus 126 still? Or?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so Guru, tell me about it. Are we laying that right now? As I said here on MMA?
I kind of wanted him at plus 135, plus 140 yesterday. We didn't get around to.
It wasn't that price yesterday. It was a few days.
2 days ago. Yeah, don't make me.
Yesterday it was plus 115.
I was at the concert.
Also.
Yeah, and yesterday I was at the concert. So that day's a blur. Give me a break, man.
No, I was just saying it was a few days ago. So we weren't ready to lay it at that point. We still have plus money.
Don't you come at me with your facts and proper truth. No, listen. In this fight, though, Jay Perrin's a live fucking dog. Dude's an absolute animal. Hasn't lost in a while, right? So he starts off his pro career, 3-3, and then really turns it around until he loses his Contender Series fight, a tough fight. Then comes back, wins in Cage Titans, wins the CES Bantamweight Championship. And then comes in on short notice and fights a fucking savage in Mario Batista. Like, what the fuck? Like, that dude's fucking really tough for your debut, man. And he looked really, really good. He survives the whole thing. And again, the dude's a savage. He just got a finish in his last fight, didn't he, Mario? And
yeah,
exactly.
Against Kelly,
exactly. And then dude, and he puts on fantastic striking. Jay Perrin is a legitimately well-rounded UFC fighter. He shows some decent takedown defense here against Arichi Lang and shows that cardio and grit that I know that he has. He's absolutely a live dog here, and I will not be betting the favorite.
This one's tough for me. I am not the biggest fan of Arichi Lang, but dude is big for this weight class. And honestly, his wrestling is not as bad as I think people want to make it out to be. Cody Durden is a really good wrestler. And my guy, Jeff Molina, is really hard to hold down. So I don't give him too many knocks for those two fights. Jay Perrin is tough. He's got a brick for a head. He's incredibly durable, does not stop coming forward. And Mario Bautista is the kind of guy that you can really just kind of shrug that loss off to. This fight is going to come down to whoever is slightly more technical, which I think is Jay Perrin, or it could come down to whoever is slightly stronger, which I think is Arichi Lang. And this is a guy who's training what's his buddy's name? He every once in a while they come out there and they do time at Fight Ready, and he's training with the other little muscle monster out there. What's his name?
Not Song Yadong, is it?
Alateng Haili.
Oh, yes. Okay.
So he's no stranger. he's no stranger to wrestling and strong physical people. Like another one I want to see the face-offs on. I really want to see how these guys size up, because Jay Perrin in his natural weight class may look better. Aori Lang could have a significant size advantage here in this spot. And if that's the case, I kind of lean more towards him. I'm leaning towards the favorite, but it's another one that I'm just not betting, guys. I'm just not betting it, because Aori Lang wins by knockout or decision every fight. Every single fight. If he can get Jay Perrin down underneath him, he can TKO him and get the referee to step in and wave it off. If he can't do that, then it's a decision. And in my opinion, it's going to be a coin flip. I don't think Jay Perrin is special enough to be able to put a pace on someone like Aori Lang and get him down and choke him out. I think he's going to be out grappling him and out working him for 15 minutes. He's nothing special on the feet, guys. He like eats punishment to close the range and grab on to his opponent. So I think Aori Lang is going to be winning minutes on the feet unless they're in a clinch or a grappling exchange. So super close fight, not one I feel great about, and not one that I'm betting on, because neither of these guys has really impressed me. They both have serious questions they need to answer. But at the end of the day, I think it goes all 15. So I'd be looking at the over 2.5, parlaying the fight goes the distance. Like that's more the move in my opinion.
Exactly,
I don't see somebody getting finished here. Oh yeah, there you go. I mean, I've got over 2.5 is minus 200. It looks like. I don't mind that at all. As you know, if you want to lay the chalk or even as a parlay piece or something like that, I don't see how. I don't really see a finish here.
Fight goes the distance minus 175.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be the way that I would play it if I was going to bet it. Now, Lang has been submitted twice. It looks like, but one of those was like way back at the beginning of his career. The other one was like 2017 or something like that. So nothing, I don't know, not something personally that I'm going to get too overexcited about. I know Jay Perrin does have some submissions on his record, but the guys he's submitting are 0-1, 1-1, 2-1. Like I don't think he's submitting Aori Lang.
No, I think that makes sense. I do like the fight going the distance, and I definitely got to go with my boy Jay Perrin because he's gonna
fair
get
enough.
I'm
so that'll bring us to our last breakdown of the night.
Yeah, but before we get to that, as you pull it up, we got a question from the Crooked Hour. What do we think about the upcoming Kevin Holland versus Wonderboy announcement? I saw that announced. I didn't see Marcel tweet it, so I'm not sure how official it is. I think they're targeting it for MSG, which is a great would be great. I mean, if they do make that fight, I think it's a great fight because there's not going to be too much grappling, and it gives Wonderboy a chance finally because they decided to throw him the wolves for the last few fights, and it gives Kevin Holland a winnable fight at welterweight.
A great name on his record too, if he can pull it off.
Very cool.
I think it's fun.
Yeah. What do you think about that, dude? Are you just a little smelly boy?
Oh no, I think that would be a cool. I think that would be a cool matchup. I think Holland wouldn't have to worry about the takedowns, and he would probably have the reach advantage, and probably the youth, all that stuff. So I think he's got a pretty fresh chin.
Watch Wonderboy come wrestle him for 15 minutes.
Yeah, right. Could you imagine? So so here we go. I mean, this last fight here, we gotta get some kind of bet on the first fight. We got Daniel Da Silva plus 145, Alta Morano minus 170. All right, me and Guru were kind of talking before the show, and it was like both of these first underdogs can't both win. Could they possibly? But if you bet both of them and one of them wins, you profit. I'm going to do that. I'm going to bet both of these underdogs. Give me Daniel Da Silva Lacerda. I think obviously it's by finish, right? That's like the whole idea here. So if you want to juice it up even more, you could do your last fight. You could take a Perrin by decision if you want to get a little juicier. And then now you could take Da Silva by sub at plus 400. Yeah. Or you could do by finish at plus 250. So I'm gonna both those dogs to start the card. If I hit both, it's a fucking party to start. So I just need one though to feel good. So watch us get neither. Guru, go ahead.
Yeah, it's super interesting. If you wanted to take the dog shot on Daniel Da Silva, I think if you're taking it, it is the sub play. The dude loves to submit people. He's got triangle chokes, arm bars. He's got a couple different types of subs on there. 6, by the way. Alta Morena, though, Altamirano has been subbed once, so that's the other interesting caveat to that. However, Altamirano, I thought, beat Carlos Hernandez. Like, I felt like we were robbed, and when I say we, it's because I bet on Victor, so I felt like I'm in his camp with him, but you know, by proxy. So we lost that fight. We felt like we were robbed, and you know, I thought he had a good performance at the end of the day, and I think the media members thought so too. De Silva, you know, the younger guy, but should be smaller here. Really, really wild and crazy on the feet. And Victor might just be too like long and technical for him. I mean, I guess they're the same reach, but it's just kind of the way in which he fights. Like I said, De Silva with the crazy spinning stuff, and Altamirano kind of using more to keep distance. Like I said, I kind of like the De Silva sub, but I started to lean back maybe towards Victor getting it done just over time, because I just don't trust De Silva. How can you trust somebody that gave Figueiredo a win? Like, it's just not a good look. So he's too reckless, and it's a problem. So I don't yeah, maybe just fight doesn't go the distance.
I don't mind that. I don't mind violence at all, because yeah, I mean, Daniel De Silva should be able to lock up a submission early if he's really going for it. I talked about him climbing the tree. You know, he has those standing back takes, and Victor has been tapped out with a rear naked choke a couple different times.
That's what we talked about.
I'm actually, as much as I love Jeff Molina, he's my guy. I'm shocked he survived that first round with Daniel De Silva. This guy literally jumped on his back and had him in all kinds of trouble. Now, as soon as he failed in that spot, he got immediately TKO'd, and that's kind of the thing here. Again, we're talking about elevation. We're talking about gas tanks. Guys, if they don't get it done early, they're going to fade away. I absolutely think that's Daniel in this spot. I fully expect him to have one round of offense, and if he can't get it done, he's going to die in the third, because that's what Victor does, is he cranks up the heat the longer the fight goes on. He's a guy that comes out fresh and hard in that third round. If you can't keep pace with him, he's going to hurt you. Now, he does go to decisions a lot, and I think that's kind of my biggest fear here, is that he's like a decision and submission guy. So expecting him to like beat somebody to a pulp and get a TKO or something, it's not really what he does. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit nervous. I actually thought that I was going to be doing like a violence bet here on this one myself, but this is kind of, you know, backing me off a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong, he can get the sub. Both these guys have given up submissions, so obviously there's going to be some ground scrambles here. I think more often than not, it gets finished and it doesn't go the distance. I don't mind that as like a parlay piece, but there is that little teensy bit of fear in me that I'm just like, man, but like, what if Daniel improved his cardio just a little bit, and then Victor comes out here and point fights his way in the third round or something like that after they're both tired and just, you know, coasts to a win? There's always that scare. So I think it's Victor round 3. I don't mind. Violence, I don't mind. That's kind of the way I'm looking at this one. But again, it's just another one that I'm like, both these guys are super low level. I haven't trusted either of them. I've lost money on both of them. So like, I just think I'm letting this one go. For a pay-per-view card, guys, this is super low level. There's a lot of fights on this card that are extremely dangerous. So just be careful out there.
And there's, you know what's weird though, too? Not only there are a lot of fights that are, not only with all the fights have balloon lines, a lot of fights with low levels, and not a lot of fights. What is it, 12 or 13? It's like, it's not even a lot of fights with Harry Hunsucker on your main card. Like, it is a weaker pay-per-view, but it's really because they're stacking. They're not stacking 279. They're really waiting for 280 and 281. They're waiting for their third quarter here.
Yep. They're just trying to get by this one.
Yeah, 100%. Utah? How did they pick you? Utah was so random. They must have wanted to bring UFC there.
Well, it's not too far from Vegas, so they don't have to travel too far.
I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting choice. Listen, I'd love to go to Utah. I'm not shitting on Utah. I just thought it was an
Salt Lake City.
Clint will appreciate this more. Don't you remember when they like used to go all over every Uruguay this week, Mexico City the next week, London the week after, Columbus? Like they just used to be everywhere all the time. I miss that so much.
Yeah, those were good times, but we did always have to sweat the the travel. We had to sweat the hometown judges. It added a whole new wrinkle to the whole MMA capping thing. We'll get back there. They're starting to spread their wings a little bit. We'll get back to it, I think.
We will. Dude, 2 hours with fucking Clint. I couldn't think of a better way to spend it, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. You helped us kill it. And I'm really honored to have witnessed the rebirth of the Die Hard MMA podcast, because I know what you're capable of. Everybody does this, and you know more than anybody what you're capable of.
Yeah.
So I know that big things are coming. So we're honored to help start that trek in the right direction.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. As always, thanks for having me. I always love coming and hanging out and spending time with you guys talking fights. It's always a good time. So I hope everybody makes cash and crushes it this weekend. I'm going to watch those weigh-ins tomorrow, and then I'm going to try and make a couple of very specific select bets maybe by Saturday. And honestly, guys, with the break week next week, I wouldn't even cry about passing on this card, because you've got to parlay a couple of these big favorites together and then just pray, because all these lines are so inflated. I'm very nervous for this card. It's not one that I feel super confident on. And don't forget, that walk of shame is worse when there's a break week in between the weeks. You don't get that immediate turnaround for redemption the following week. So hope everybody crushes it out there. And thank you guys again. Seriously, it's always fun hanging out.
It means the world when you come hang out with us, man. Like he said, after all these weeks, we do not have a card next week. We get a rare Saturday off. Everybody have a wonderful Labor Day. And then we come back to UFC Paris. Talk about some travel. France just recently made MMA legal. So this will be the first time the UFC is ever in France. How freaking cool is that? Cyril Gane, Tai Tuivasa. Certainly going to be exciting. Clint, again, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you're following at Diehardmmapod. Incredible stuff. And like I said, he's literally about to kick it into a different gear. So I'm really excited to see that. My amazing, hardworking co-host, TV Scouting MMA. Follow him, Instagram Verdict, Twitter Tapology. Me at Guru Scouting MMA, Twitter Verdict, Instagram Tapology. See you guys around. Make sure you take care as well. And, Labor